Hey, Impact friends, how are you feeling? That's been our series recently in small groups. The unfortunate thing is that we didn't have small groups last week. We didn't have small groups today. We're not going to have small groups at least until next week. So our series got interrupted, but it also seems pretty timely because I'm sure that in the midst of all this virus stuff that maybe you're feeling a little worried, a little uncertain, a little anxious. And so it seems kind of, again, timely that this is a good series for us to be talking about. So a couple weeks ago, those who met for small groups, we talked about anxiety. And we're going to revisit that today. So if you talked about it then, it'll be a good chance to kind of rehash that. If you missed small group, this will be a good chance for you to look at that topic. And then next Sunday, when we're not going to have church or small group again, we're going to talk about depression. So here's what we're going to do is that I'm going to put together just a short video to kind of lay out the foundation, I guess, of what the topic is. And then in the description below, you're going to kind of see the main points. And there's also going to be a link to the discussion question. So here's what I'd love for you to do. Get in contact with your small group, and maybe you'll watch this video all at the same time, or you'll watch it on your own time whenever it works for you, and then you'll pick a time where either through texting or messenger or whatever you choose to do, that maybe you can talk a little bit about the questions and still have some dialogue, still have some discussion, even though we can't be physically together. So I want to try to keep some consistency in that way, and also a way for us just to stay connected. So take some time to watch this, which hopefully you're doing right now. So thanks for that. Make sure that you get in contact with your small group and talk about it. So today we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about anxiety. Now, what we've been talking about in this series is the idea that emotions were given to us by God. And it's not whether our emotions are good or bad, but where are emotions taking us. And today we want to talk a little bit about anxiety. And we looked at the example of David. David wrote a lot of the Psalms in the Old Testament, and he wrote one specifically, Psalm 55, that talks about anxiety. And what I want to do is just read the first verse and then the last verse of the Psalm, and then encourage you to spend some time reading the whole Psalm as you go over the discussion questions. But here's what he says in the very first two verses. He actually says, "Listen to my prayer, O God. Do not ignore my plea. Hear me and answer me. My thoughts trouble me, and I am distraught." And maybe in this season, your thoughts are troubled. Maybe you are a little distraught by everything that's going on. I mean, we're only a week into this, and it just feels like a whole lot longer than that. That's what we were talking about in our house just yesterday, that we're only a week into this distancing and quarantine, maybe a little over a week, but just 8 or 9 days, and it seems like a whole lot longer than that. And so maybe you've got some troubled thoughts, you're distraught, you're worried, you're uncertain. I don't know what's going on for you, but probably feeling a little bit of anxiety and anxiousness. And we all feel that in different ways. And as you read through Psalm 55, you're going to see that David does four different things that'll be helpful to us. The first thing that he does is that he prays to God. That's what we read in verses 1 and 2. So he prays to God. The next thing is that he is specific about what it is that's making him anxious. Now, David had an enemy that was pursuing him, that he could see that he was running from. Our governor says that we're kind of fighting an enemy, but it's unseen. It's this virus. But David was very specific about what was causing his anxiety. And so for you, if you're feeling any kind of anxiety, then you need to be specific about it. And David was also honest about how he felt. He didn't run from his feelings. He didn't try to cover over them. He didn't try to say, it's no big deal. But he was honest. But then the fourth point, which is really key for us, is that he invited God into that. So he allowed his emotions, his anxiety, not to move him away from God, but moved him toward God. And that's what I want to encourage us to do. And that's what we see in not the very last verse, but the second to the last verse of Psalm 55. David says, "Cast your cares on the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken." So David invites God into his anxiety. And so I'd love for you to kind of think about that, kind of maybe pause for just a couple minutes and say, how am I feeling? What do I feel in the midst of all this is going on? And if you have an opportunity to connect with your small group to talk about that, So again, look below in the description. You're going to find some of those 4 things, but there also will be a link to the discussion questions, so you can actually see the printout. So even though we're not together as a small group, you'll still get the printout, and would love for you, even if you do it on your own, just to go through and read those questions. And so after you've watched this, then do that, and then plan next week to do the same thing. We'll talk about depression. I'll post a short kind of intro video and have the discussion questions for you guys to talk about. In the meantime, please keep checking Facebook and Instagram. I'm posting prayer prompts for the next few days. And then about the middle of next week, would love for you, if you don't have the YouVersion app, that you would get that, whether it's on your phone, on your tablet, or even on your computer. Get the YouVersion app and just log in to that, and then friend me. And then we want to do a Bible reading plan together. And it's really cool is that once we're friends, I can invite you to be a part of that Bible reading plan. And then you can read it at any point on each given day, but then you have the opportunity to comment on what you read. And it'd be a great opportunity for us to share, hey, this verse really stuck out to me. I love what the devotion said. And we'll just do like a 5-day a devotion together, but it's just another way for us to stay connected. So get the YouVersion app, again, on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer, whatever it is that you use. Friend me, find me on there, really easy to do. And then I'll invite everybody, and this can be both for students and for leaders. Would love for us just to connect, and that way to spend some time in God's Word. So spend a few minutes reading Psalm 55. Do the discussion questions, think through that. Be specific about how you're feeling. Invite God into that. He's going to help us get through this crazy time, and look forward to all of us being together again really, really soon. So we love you. If there's anything you need, get in touch with us. Send us a message. Just drop a comment below. However you need to, so we can stay connected, so we can be praying for one another. Thanks for watching. Connect with your small group, talk about this, and invite God into how you're feeling in the midst of all this coronavirus craziness. Take care.